Hello, everybody. I am Steph. I will be running Calpini for Euphoria with my lovely group here. We will drop Euphoria socials in the chat, but you can find them on pretty much every form of social media. So this is Calpini. This is a game that I have written as Fistful of Crits. It is based off the dungeon game system by Chris Pizzette, Loot the Room. We will also pop some links in there. It's a fabulous game that he designed and has put up for free, which is incredible. So I took the sort of system and have written a little spooky, scary mini adventure for it. So content warnings, not my usual fare, but potential triggers: blood, eyes, insects, moths, sacrifice, religion-based imagery, not real world. Body horror, emotional manipulation, cosmic horror, cannibalism, blood drinking, vampirism, murder, and death. So for anybody that is just listening along, I am a white femme presenting woman, pronouns she, her. Got silver hair, I'm wearing a black shirt, I'm sat in my comfy, cozy cabin, presenting for you. I am going to throw you now to my lovely cast, and we will start with Aoife.
Hi folks, Aoife. I am a white femme presenting woman. I have white hair, red lips, white makeup across my eyes, wearing a moon tiara that is somehow bleeding crimson down into my eyes. Nothing to worry about. I'll throw it over to Kieran.
Hello, yes, my name is Kieran. I use they, them pronouns. I'm a white, mask-presenting, non-binary person. I have dark hair and beard, blue eyes, wearing a dark top, and I've got a backdrop of yellows and purples with some black spots. And I shall pass on over now to Fondue.
Hi everyone, my name is Fondue, he, him. I'm a mask-presenting black man. I'm wearing a white shirt with some little characters on it. I have long, dark, curly hair, dark brown eyes, a beard, and behind me I have bisexual lighting. And I'm going to throw it over to Ren.
Hi, I'm Ren. My pronouns are they, them. I am a black non-binary person, currently wearing a emperor moth antennae made of cardboard, a rather ginger curly wig, and orange to brownish shirt beneath. And yes, that's me. Back to you, Steph.
O goddess of the silver moon, she who lifts the night's cold flame, whose hands raise pale light above the shadows, we, your silent children, gather beneath your gaze, seeking refuge in the glow that keeps the darkness at bay. To your light we look.
To your light we
Your
look.
light we look.
O goddess, we are bound to your light. We drift upon the beams of your radiance. Our wings stir with the murmur of your voice. In your glow we shed our frailty, ever following the truths hidden within your sight. In your sight we see.
In your sight
we see.
Hear us, O keeper of the moon's fire. Shield your priestess from the jaws of the dark. Shroud her in the veil of your light, that she may weave the silk of what lies beyond tomorrow. Protect us as we hover beneath your sky. Let the glow of your flame guide our hearts and minds. Let no shadow mar our wings, nor darkness cloud our sight. For as long as she is held in your light, we are yours, O Mother. In your light, we love.
In your light
we love.
Okay. So, the village of Lepitera that you find yourselves is infamous for its prophetic inhabitants. Creatures melded from ancient times into a form both moth-like and human. Tucked away in the craggy moorland of a valley far to the north, these people, known as the Calpini, have built their settlement in utter devotion to their goddess of the silver moon, the silver lady who grants them their visions and their place in the world. Here, the natural light of the sun finds an uneasy home, facing a harder task to shrine through the domain of its opposing force. The Calpini are welcoming to adventures and travellers of all kinds, believing it their divine duty to share their gift of sight to help guide others through the world's darkness. In a country torn apart by divine strife, many make the pilgrimage to seek their prophecies. These visions are spun from the delicate hands of the Silver Moon's mysterious priestess, who has never once stepped foot outside of the grand silver and glass temple built in her honour. Once a month, when the moon is at its fullest, the temple doors are thrown open, and visitors are invited to glimpse their futures, followed by a grand feast, either to celebrate or to console them and their prophecies. It would have been a grand sight for you to witness, to stand in the shadow of this long tradition. But as you crest the final hill overlooking the village, the moon shines a murderous shade of red. A heavy stillness hangs over La Patera, where once the bustle of a holy village filled the air. Those you pass on the road avert their gaze, eyes glowing red in the moonlight as they murmur amongst themselves in hushed tones. You sense that this is a time the Calpini might hold in deep suspicion. An old tale whispers of the dark moon, where the lady in silver is swallowed by her twin sister, and the people's sight is lost to shadow until she crawls out again from her sister's mouth. But you have travelled far, each of you, and received invitation here to feast with the enigmatic priestess. There is no turning back now, not when supplies are low, and the dangers of the land have pressed you here. What would you like to do, and who are you? So, I will start with Ren, if you would like to introduce your character to everyone.
All right. Carrying her very light backpack, Saturn looks at the crowd of people and tries to figure out what she can maybe steal beforehand, as she is a burglar, and is going to try to make the best of this opportunity, whatever the best might look like.
Mm-hmm.
Sulis is not really looking for something to steal. As an undertaker, she is a lot more arm's length from others. So she's observing. She's noticed Saturn. She knows what she's up to, but she won't say a thing. It's not really her sphere of influence, so to speak.
Haldir is an elven man, bald, holding a helmet in one hand, walking with a very confident gait in dark leather armor, kind of a smirk on his face, looking around to see where there's something interesting. Aoife, could I ask you to describe something interesting that you notice about Haldir?
Ooh. Sulis has noticed that Haldir seems to be carrying around some woven items. Possibly something to do with spider webs or even nets, but never bothered to ask, so remains a mystery.
Perfect. Yes, he has those dangling on his waist. They look self-made, indeed. Thank you.
Carl Steger is very aware of all the traffic going past, the foot traffic, mounted traffic, what have you. They don't appear particularly comfortable in this environment with so many people around, but they're trailing just ever so slightly behind the rest of the group. They have long wings, just trailing down to sort of ankle length down from their back, and they just seem a little bit uncomfortable, but not to the extent that you'd remark upon it overly.
Okay. It's interesting that you would say it's busy, because you would expect it to be. This is a thoroughfare it's a well-known sort of rite of passage to go and receive your prophecy, and so this is normally a town that is very busy. It's not busy. You come across a few people who kind of see you and will completely avert their eyes. There's not many people out hawking their wares. The people of this town architecturally will build very glass heavy houses. They really like to let the moon's light in. A lot of this glass is now covered internally with drapes and boarded up, and it just looks a bit not as you'd envisioned. Up ahead, the small sort of other stragglers that you can see are standing outside of what looks to be like a tavern. But other than that, there's no market. There's no people sort of casually walking the streets. You can't hear the sounds of children. It's just eerie and quiet. What would you like to do?
And I think I notice Saturn skulking about and have smirk to myself and just walk over there with a pompous kind of walk. Then kind of crouch by next to you. What are we finding today?
There's a we involved?
There is now. Haldir, pleasure to make your acquaintance, and smacks his hand into yours and kind of clasps it with the other to shake vigorously and intensely gazes into your eyes.
Saturn doesn't look particularly strong, and so as you shake their hand, their whole body sort of shakes with it. And oh my. Saturn is more of a cat burglar kind rather than a beef burglar. Beefy. I still cows specifically. No, they're not particularly beefy. So they're just nice to make your acquaintance, Haldir. And is scanning you, but also scanning to see if you have anything valuable on you. Where did you come from? Why'd you notice me?
Valuable wise, he has a short bow slung over his back, so that's the main valuable thing. A helmet that he's holding in one hand.
Not shiny enough. Saturn, a pleasure.
So, what are you here for in town? Feel like you're not local.
Oh, I mean, travelers come and travelers go all the time. There's nothing particularly special about me. No, I'm not local, but, I'm here for what most come here for. I suspect you're here for the same thing.
A wonderfully roundabout answer, I see. I'm here because I have an invitation. I've been invited, you see.
So have I.
Ah!
How lucky are we?
Fortuitous indeed.
Sulis has noticed that invitations have been mentioned, so she strikes up the courage to approach these two, this thief and this elf, this big loud elf. And hello, you have also received invitations, I hear.
Haldir spins around quickly and kind of gets up and then kind of eyes you up and down. Indeed. And then clasps your hand. Haldir, a pleasure. Intense gaze in your eyes.
Sulis grimaces in pain. Her fingertips are all burned as if she's held fire a little too long. So handshakes are definitely not a pleasant experience, but she swallows down that discomfort. Sulis, yes, pleased to meet you. Ha ha ha.
Wonderful.
I think having seen a new person approach a group of other new people, going to say, okay, this thought looks at least not unfriendly, and will try to fall just in step with them, wait a few seconds, and then say, hello, yes, Kalstegi me. I am also here with an invitation, and lovely to meet you all.
Haldir
Nice to meet
steps to
you as
you,
well.
with energy and clasps your hand. Haldir, a pleasure.
Oh, you're very, very, very strong, aren't you?
No, not really. It's more of a technique thing, honestly.
I'd love to learn if you're taking on students.
Of course. I'd love to show you the ins and outs.
Oh, thank you.
And the
Well
group
met.
is-
My name is Sulis. Pleased to meet you.
Sulis Kalstegi. It's lovely, lovely, lovely to meet you.
All right. So the party's met. There aren't any other people around like yourselves. The only other people that you can see, like I said before, are outside of the tavern-looking building. The few that are wandering the streets are local. You can see that from their dress. But when you look around for other people who potentially might have invitations, they've either not arrived yet or have arrived ahead of you. You were the only ones on the road into town at the moment.
Does the invite mention where we're supposed to go?
So it says that you can head to the Weaver's Rest and speak to a woman named Appius. She is well known for hosting new adventuring parties overnight. You will be shown up to the temple to receive your prophecies and join the feast. Ordinarily.
What a happy little band we make.
Indeed. Shall we press on to the
Yes.
the inn?
Yes,
Yes.
could do with a hot meal.
Oh,
And then Haldir just like steps along with a very confident gait.
Saturn will slide next to Sulis. Very eager, isn't he?
Quite. And Sulis is just watching her own belongings, just in case.
She hasn't given you a once-over yet.
I'm ready.
Okay. You come up upon the tavern. The people that were waiting outside take a look at you, see the very bright red invitations in your hands, and then immediately scatter in different directions. Not in running, but in a, right, we leave. The door is open. It's a very beautiful tavern. Obviously, it has seen a lot of thoroughfare and therefore a lot of upkeep. You look inside through the glass walls of the bottom floor, and these really lovely, highly decorated tables, a normally welcoming space is empty, save for one person, a very tall Calpini woman, long antennae that she's sort of pushed back out of her face, cleaning a glass, and kind of tilts her head to look at you, and a strange expression comes over her face. It's a heady mixture of surprise and something else. A sadness, maybe? It's just temporary. And she kind of sets the glass down and gestures for you to come inside. Hello. I see you are here for the feast.
Yes. We are here for the feast and the prophecy, of course.
Of course, yes. I am Appius. It's nice to meet you all. Is it just you? Are there more?
Well, we were the only ones on the road. I thought it was quite the destination. I'm quite surprised. This pilgrimage used to be taken by so many.
Yes. We have seen busier days. Don't worry though. Everything is fine.
You know, we were outside there earlier, and people seemed to notice our invites, and they scattered. What is it? Did they go to the bingo or something?
Bingo.
A local game from Galatia. Don't worry about it.
No. Well, it is a strange time of the month. You mustn't take offense. I'm here to welcome you. And you said you didn't see anyone else on the road. Oh well,
No.
more the feasting for you then. And your baggage. I can take that for you if you like.
I'd rather keep it, thank you.
Not a
It's
problem.
small enough but we can just keep it ourselves.
Yes.
That's an idea.
Please.
Yeah.
That's fine. Well, I will situate you on the first floor. And she kind of produces keys. Her hands are shaking a little bit, you notice.
Mm-hmm.
And when you are ready, I will take you directly to the temple, if you would like.
When she gives out the key, I also clasp her hand. I didn't get to introduce myself as apologies. Haldir, a pleasure. And then I gaze intently in her eyes, but I don't have the same, my demeanor shifts. I'm like, is there something wrong here that we should know about?
No, of course not. It is just a strange time for us.
I see. And then I pull back and I take the key.
You people might be a little they might keep their distance. It's a shame that you've come the time that you have, but you will receive your prophecy and feast as is tradition, and then you will be on your way.
Oh. I expected a little bit more pomp and circumstance.
Did you? Well, the temple is a grand thing to behold. It's having some renovations at the moment, though. Perhaps if the prophecy this year is not too liking, you can come back at a different time next year and find more of what did you say? The pomp and the circumstance. And she gives you a very toothy, nervous smile.
I did have a question.
didn't travel much. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I did have a question for you. Why have you covered up all of the glass? How does the light get in if you've covered it up?
It's for the comfort of my guests, who I think are used to brick walls. You see.
Right. That makes sense.
Yes. Shall I show you to your room?
Please.
Please.
She comes out from behind the bar, nervously sort of flutters forward, kind of swings open this door that takes you up to the first floor. It's a very lovely room. You know, she's done her best to make it welcoming. There's fully made, really plush beds. There is that kind of wall for privacy. But you are clearly not the only people to have stayed in here recently. There's in the corner, there's an adventurer's pack that's just been left there, and she seems to be sorry, I will remove this previous group that came.
They left their things.
Sorry?
They left their things?
It would appear so.
Is there anything about that pack that stands out in any way? Or does it just look like a simple adventuring pack?
Yeah, it just looks like a simple adventuring pack, I would say. You could ask her if you wanted to have a look through, though. But she's just kind of holding it very like, sack of potatoes, eager to get out of the door, like half in, half out.
Dear, I'm so sorry. What was your name again?
Appius.
Appius. Would you mind terribly if I just had a look at that pack? Just to make sure there wasn't anything, dangerous in it that might hurt you. I'm going to leave it to you, of course, but,
Of course. Just hands it over to you.
Thank you so
It
much.
has, like, just your typical rations, probably food for about 3 or 4 days on the road, oil, things that, are useful and you would take with you.
Mhm.
So it's weird that they've been left. But there's not anything, I would say, of intrinsic value. Yeah, it's very similar to what you would have in your packs, I would imagine.
They give it a once over and then hand it back.
Thank you for your concern, though.
Of course.
I will leave you, and then when you are ready, I will take you to the temple, or maybe someone from the town.
I waited eagerly. I'm sure we all do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
She kind of darts out, shuts the door, and you're left in this, nice room.
What was that?
Something's wrong.
Yes, she sounded too much like me. No, she's not telling us everything.
No,
Clearly.
clearly not.
I've never known adventurers to leave their packs behind.
Particularly full as well.
Full.
Ooh.
Incredibly
They're dead.
foolish.
Or imprisoned. Probably dead.
So I suppose they never came back from the temple.
Always a great sign. No.
Wonderful.
But what if we save them and we get our prophecy? That's some glory to be had. No?
Big
That
Yes,
or
the
there was
prophecy.
something more worthwhile at the temple and they didn't need the pack afterwards.
Fair point.
Unlikely.
And possibilities are endless.
Well, shall we go or shall we prepare for our journey?
I would like to do some stretches, and if there's trouble, I want to be limbered up if anything happens, Pulling a bowstring, it's tiresome.
Pause for Pilates.
Yes. It's a very popular sport where I'm from.
Indeed.
Yes.
Sulis has a habit of mirroring others, so she's gently stretching out also.
Saturn lounges.
Having been a very long journey, Galstegi is going to mooch around to see if they can find any food.
Yeah.
Other than
There's a really lush bowl of fruit on the table that looks very freshly laid. You can call for
Give that a
food
sniff.
if you like.
Yes, give everything a sniff first, just in case.
Can I investigate the fruit to see if there's anything suspicious looking? Is this a possibility?
You absolutely can. So you pick up like an orange, give it a look over. Smells okay. Looks okay. Looks very fresh. Peel it open. Everything is as it should be. Nothing untoward that you can see.
The first
And the
one's
thing
to
I like,
complete.
what I will say with the dungeon game, so one of the kind of like game philosophies is, if you would know it, we say it. If something is like risky, then I'll sort of ask you for a roll. But yeah, the fruit to your eyes looks like something that you would have on your kitchen table. It's fine.
Okay.
Cool. I have some.
Yeah.
After stretching.
I also have some.
Just munching on a nice straw.
Yeah, there's a big selection. They've gone out of their way to make it look, when you turn up to like a posh hotel room and they've got like little fancy like moths on the pillow. Like it's very, it's almost too nice.
Really rolling out red carpet, as it were.
It does seem a bit at odds with what was downstairs. I can see why you'd be hesitant to trust.
I suppose they have no shortage of resources if there's no one else here.
That makes sense.
Do you mind peeling this orange for me, Calistaga, please? My fingers are a little bit sore.
Oh, not at all. Not at all. It's... There you go. It's lovely to be able to help.
It's lovely to be helped.
Let me know if there's ever anything else that needs dexterousness. Would be absolute pleasure to assist. I don't mind at all, and I realise that I may be perhaps being slightly overeager. That wasn't my intent. I'm going to just going to take a seat on one of the beds and just watch, try and gauge the energy, because there's quite a disparity they've noticed, and that's putting them a little bit on edge, the difference between Haldir and everybody else on how energetic it is.
Okay. Is there something in particular that you're trying to pick up?
No, it's more just a thing of what do I... This isn't a mechanical thing I'm trying to do. It's just a case of they're trying to fit in socially, is all. And they don't know how to do that in such a varied group, is all.
Okay, yeah, I understand. Thank you for clarifying.
Head to the temple.
I suppose there's little else to do.
Yeah, I mean, you had visions of, really bustling markets and big religious displays. You've been told to expect that trying to get anywhere in the town was like a salmon swimming upstream. It's really odd. But as you creep out of the room, you can hear a pious whispering to somebody on the stairs in like a very hushed tone. There's four of them. Just four? Yes, just four, I'm afraid. That's all we've got. Well, we need more. That's what I have, so take it or leave it. 4. Well, I don't feel very good about this. Yeah, well, none of us do. Okay, but it's them or it's us. So take the 4, don't say anything, and come back here straight away. Okay? Think of your daughter. And the other voice, very masculine, kind of makes a sort of grunting noise. And you hear them kind of walk off a little bit downstairs.
Apaya, dear.
Oh, yes?
We were interested in maybe going to the temple soon.
Of course. I have someone who will take you. I've got to wait here, you see, in case anyone will come. But I'll introduce you. He'll take you right there. He's lovely. Would that be all right?
Yes, that would be lovely. We'll be with you in a moment.
Of course. Is the room to your liking?
Oh, it's absolutely wonderful. Very spacious, and the fruit is delicious.
Oh, good. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. And she kind of withdraws to wait for you.
Ominous. Ominous.
Just a bit, yes.
I suppose we're not turning back now.
I mean, there are always options to turn back. This is not a...
At this point, we came all the way here. Traveled all this way to what? Turn back? Just because it's a little scary? Nah.
I think at that moment, Saturn is looking at you with squinted eyes and is clearly trying to attempt to gauge your intellect. It's like,
I would say you can see that he's not like dumb. It's not an idiot's like, nothing's gonna happen. It's more of a confidence and
yeah, the kind of
eagerness.
overconfidence that tends to get people killed. I see it.
Potentially, yes.
Boy.
What does it think about cats and curiosity?
But it's a good thing I'm not a cat, isn't it?
Neither am I, but I do like a shiny thing, so... Fine.
On the off chance that information does make us fat, we may as well drive on.
What are we looking for weapons-wise? Do you have weapons?
Yes. Of a sort, I have types. I have and she takes a sling out of her belt. I have this handy little thing. Doesn't seem to know how to use it very well. But I can also summon blades.
Very useful.
Yes.
All right, backline then.
You can clearly see that Saturn has what looks like an older sort of crossbow at her side, but then she kind of lifts one of her legs and reaches down into a boot and pulls out a very small dagger and puts it back.
Cool.
And Kalstega takes, again from the belt, there is a small knife, a hoofing knife. So it's sharp on one side and up to the tip. And it's just, I've got this, it served me well.
Hopefully it will
We should be
continue
fine.
to do so.
We're armed, that's good. So keep your wits about you. Pull your weapon out at the first sign of trouble and shoot first, ask questions later. Always served me well. Yeah, well, except that one time, but we don't have to get to that.
You're on the run from the law. Okay.
Shall we meet our host, our
Escort.
escort? Yes.
Okay. You move downstairs. Appius is back round the bar, polishing the same glass, it looks like. And there is a man stood beside her, really deep black skin. I think he's got like long sort of dreadlock hair that has been pulled back into like a high ponytail almost. The red eyes of a Calpini tribe member, the facial paint. And he's kind of nervously rubbing his hands together. He looks like he hasn't slept much at all lately. Is sort of thinning a little in the face, like gaunt. But claps sight of you. Brief look over to Appius and then strolls over. Bows. I believe I am to take you to the temple for the feast.
You're correct.
My name is Telecota. It's nice to meet you.
Telekota, was it?
Yes.
Clasp his hand. A pleasure, Haldir.
Just kind of buckles under you. Like, he has no strength, this man. And I think, like,
I'm also not strong as well.
No, but like that, like as a testament to how frail he is and shouldn't be. Like, it looks as though his sort of daytime job would be very manual, right, in labor. Just buckles under your grip almost. You're very strong, or I'm very weak.
It's a technique thing, actually. Not many people know.
Are you going? Yeah.
Nuance.
Yes. Well then, I'm sure Papyrus has explained the strange mood around the town. I'm sorry that it's like that. But
I wouldn't say explained. I would just say mentioned.
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe you could explain the situation.
Oh,
A walk and talk, maybe.
Yes. Yes. Let's do that. Casts a very nervous look at Pius, who just until she notices you looking, has a very stern expression on her face at him. And he leads you out down the street. There are a few people milling around, but they look almost in a daze. And it's only when you get close to them that they notice you and then move away. But it's not normal. It's like day walking almost. And he sees this and sort of like straightens up and begins to chat nonsense about the weather. And, oh, isn't it interesting that we don't get sunlight here? Ha ha ha, ha ha ha. Just the nervous prattling of a man who does not know what to do or say to you.
Telekota?
Yes.
It's a bit fucked, isn't it?
What do you mean? Sorry.
Well, from the way that we heard it before we came here, there's supposed to be grand festivities and a large crowd and all of these things that aren't happening. And everyone that we see appears to be a bit out of sorts. So it's a bit fucked.
I think his any resolve that he had managed to sort of gather up in his chest just kind of snaps like a dry branch that you stepped upon. And he kind of no, well, oh god, I can't do this again. You could just leave. You know, you could leave. There is still the chance for you to leave. You should leave.
Well, you've got me deadly curious now. Why would I leave?
Because everything's fucked. My daughter, we don't like having to do this, you know. I've had this conversation with a few groups. You all look like you have lives ahead of you. You should just leave. You should just leave.
What is this thing that you've been doing? You mentioned. What is it?
She's hungry.
Who is?
Someone in there. I don't. The thing is, if we don't take you, she takes us. So.
Sacrifices, then.
You're not going to a feast. You.
We are the feast. I get you. Unless we turn it into a feast, huh?
Gives you a sort of appraising look up and down, all of you individually. Not in a bitchy way. I have looked upon a group like this a number of times, and all of them have fallen short. Kind of way. I'll tell you what I know, and then the decision is yours to make.
Thank you.
My daughter is an acolyte to the priestess, and I haven't seen her in 3 months. None of the acolytes have come out of the temple, and any adventurers that we take there don't come out. The townspeople who go missing have stayed missing. And 3 moons ago, a woman turned up for a prophecy, she said. She was all alone. She was definitely not like you. She wasn't an adventurer. She dressed like she came from some sort of religion. I don't know. And since then, we haven't been able to see. No one can speak to the priestess. And he looks up in the sky to the red moon that should be a very holy shade of silver. And looks very personally crushed at this reminder. Our Lady is not well, I think.
Well, we can hardly walk away if we know something is wrong. If someone isn't well, shouldn't they be given the dignity of help?
Of course. And we tried that. Only that just made everything worse. I don't know what's going on in there. The doors only open for people who have been invited, or people she takes. That's all I know. And I'm sorry. And none of us want to do this to people that come here, but if we perish, all of us, then prophecy goes out of the world. So yes, I suppose Appius is right, and you are sacrificial. But I'm giving you the choice not to be, because it weighs very heavily on me, and as much as I would love for you to go in there and solve the problem and find out what's happened to Matt and Feeney and the priestess, I can't make you do that in good conscience, knowing that I would be sending you to your death. So the choice is yours.
Thank you. We do appreciate it, and it is very brave of you to tell us this.
Leading people up to the doors of their death is not brave, friend, but thank you.
No, but giving us information when you know that it might put yourself in jeopardy is.
Does your daughter look much like you in the face?
Yes.
Thank you.
What is her name?
Anthony.
Calpini.
She shapes her hair like wings. And if you could find her and rescue her, bring her to me, I will give you everything I have. She means everything to me.
As long as you build us a statue, that'll be enough.
I am a carver by trade, it turns out. I will outfit you for life.
Wonderful. Friends. He like turns to the party. Haldir turns. Friends. We should, of course, go there. It is quite obvious. Because if we do, we save everyone. They'll make us statues. There will be glory to be had. We'll become local legends. And what better thing than to be remembered forever, no? And we'll save people in the process, of course. Yes, that's nice and all, but
Nice secondary inclusion there. Are there many shiny things in this temple?
Shiny. Are you asking me or him?
I've
Telecota.
said his name and I've forgotten.
Fine. Telecota.
Yes.
Yes, it is the grandest building that we have ever made, the priestess. I'm sure if she is in distress, will reward you beyond measure.
Great! I'm on board.
That easy.
Mm.
And he kind of
I don't
casts
like
his
not having money, Telecota.
he casts his gaze over to you, Sulis, and Calisthesia. Slightly more hopeful than I think he means to look.
I've made my decision. I'm going in and I'm hopefully coming out.
I came here for my prophecy because I believe in it, and I wanted to be, at least feel part of this clan that I've always admired. And even if we do come to harm or even worse inside, I think it behooves us to try and to try to help these people, and if we find them, to bring them out. But if we find them dead, then to give them a kind passing.
You are very good people, and I'm sorry that we haven't met you in that measure. And I think he like looks at you all with these sort of very big red eyes, sort of welling up, because he's done this before, right? But that renewed hope is like a carrot to keep him going, and you are the new carrots, so to speak. He leads you very solemnly up the path, and it does, Sulis, you'll know this, it's the feeling of a funeral procession, right? It's very somber, and as you move up to the temple, actually, it sits atop a crest on the hill, so that this whole town is in like a valley, and it sits apart. It's been built in the most prominent place, triangulated so that when the moon is at its fullest and the highest point in the sky, it shines directly down into the temple. It's beautiful, it's gorgeous, and it smells like rot the further up that you walk. And there's a strange darkness that is not natural to these people that settles on the ground like mist. And any life that might have grown here around the circumference has slowly started to die off. Tree branches have blackened, thickened, snapped under their own weight. There are overturned carts and strewn about weapons. Like, there was no hiding this from you. He had to tell you. You can't get so close to what should be such a holy building and see it like this. And the glass walls that would normally very strangely reflect the town, again, have been covered. You can see people have thrown stuff on the exterior to try and get it to smash, but they make the glass so thick it's not possible. And the big archway doors in a very sort of dark, gothic, silver lining of architecture sit very ominously in front of you. And he doesn't appear to want to go any further. And very nervously, kind of, his hands are sweaty, kind of tucks them under his armpits, shoulders up by his ears. Is there anyone I can write to, if anything, you know, if I don't see you again? Family?
No.
Yes. This is... I've actually already written a letter. Can you just take this and, well, post it. There's a stamp on there already.
Takes it from you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
There will be no such need, as we will return sound mind and body. Don't worry.
Gives you a strange, pitying kind of smile, but nods.
I have 3 sisters who work with me in our funeral home, 2 villages over. If I do not return, then please tell them that my work is done.
I will do that for you. Yes, thank you. I will pray for you. And then he kind of strides past, bangs heavily on the doors, and says, "Priestess, open the doors for your faithful," with his voice sort of trembling. Steps away again, and these heavy doors kind of open just a sliver, enough to let you in, and not much else. And we will take a break, I think, before we pick up inside the temple.
Thank you.
Okay, welcome back. We will jump straight back in. So the doors have opened for you. Telikota has withdrawn away, and in fact is walking with his back to you down to the town, has not stopped to pause. Just he said his piece, you've said yours. Your paths have now diverged. There's an oozing darkness spilling out of these temple doors ahead of you.
There's no light.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so I put down my backpack. Right, time to get ready then. Take out my quiver with arrows and sling that over, and adjust my bow to be readily available. Take out a lantern, pour in lamp oil, fill it up. There we go. Make sure everything is here.
Let me know if you run out. I have a couple of flasks myself.
Ah, wonderful.
Sulis is similarly kitted out. Got a small slingshot at her belt, and rest is pretty much just adventuring gear, save for a little wooden holy symbol that she has clutched in her hand at this point, just for luck.
Okay.
So Calsteri is also has a wee wooden symbol, which is entirely coincidental, but it's quite nice. They've been worrying it on a chain around their neck. It's in the shape of the goddess. There are wee holes drilled through to let the light through where there are big craters on her face, and they're very much just twiddling it around in their right hand, and I've tried to keep the left shoulder moving as much as they can at the same time.
Okay.
Saturn is doing none of those things and is listening. She's listening to any sounds that are coming from the interior of this place.
It's dead quiet.
That is unfortunate.
There's no bird song. You would anticipate, with how creepy the outside has become, in almost a comical way, screams or chants, singing, hymns. There's nothing. It's dead quiet.
I think she was even just listening for the sounds of like movement, a footstep. But for there to be nothing is awful.
Just the sound of your blood in your ears.
Fantastic.
Well, everyone, keep your wits about you, and I turn on the lantern. At least we have light. So you roll the dice, right, Steph, to see how long it lasts?
Yes. So I do know Chris has had a go at moving some of these mechanics. So I will roll the dice. So if you roll me a d6, and then the number that you get, we will say, is how long that light will last. Per
Is it
room.
tripled because it's a lantern?
Sorry,
It's
yeah,
3d6.
thank you. Yeah.
So do I? Yeah, I'll roll 3d6 and then
Mhm.
I'll. So the time is like, how is it? Minutes, hours? How does that work? Or number of rooms?
I'm gonna rule it as per room. So when you move into a room, knock one off, and then the next room, knock one off, that sort of thing. In combat,
okay, so it's
we
number
roll
of
by
rooms.
round. Yes, yeah.
Understood. All right, let me see.
Will a lantern light for the whole party?
Yes. should
Okay.
do.
It's an 8.
Okay, perfect. These towering double doors are deep obsidian stone. So they are inlaid with, you've seen the architecture now of the town. It's this very intricate silver detailing. If you pressed your palm onto the door, it's very cold, very heavy. They seem to absorb what little light gets through here, and any warmth. And if you step in, is that what you're doing? Okay. It opens up. You kind of lift your lantern, held it, and this little glow of light expands in a circular radius out into the vestibule. Branching off, you can see there's 3 directions that you can go. So a very big circular sort of waiting room, big glass dome. Ahead of you are 2 sets of stairs that lead upwards to the north part of the temple, the main religious part of the temple. Off to your right, to the east, there is like a big sort of double door wooden that's been kicked in. And then off to your left, to the west, is a long hallway that kind of goes out down through the darkness. But around you intimately, there were tapestries here. The remains of them hanging, even just by threads, are still here. Grand sculptures, all the different aspects of the lady. Like the moon grows in phases, she has many, many forms. But the former glory of this temple has been stripped away. The statues are broken, collapsed into pieces on the marble floor. Murals that once told stories of heroic prophecies are smeared now with this grim texture of meaty chunks and dried blood. It smells of iron strongly, enough to make your eyes water as you step into the main part of the vestibule. It's horrendous to think that anybody would defile like a sacred place like this and the history of these people. These statues and tapestries, all handmade, are hundreds of years old. You could recognize some of the heroes from these prophecies in here. These can't be replicated, and yet they're torn to shreds in front of you. It's quite, if you're faithful, it's quite distressing. What would you like to do?
Saturn is just weeping inside, not because it's holy, but because it's unique. And it's why?
Oh yeah, these would go for a pretty piece of silver. Mm-hmm.
Yes, without the meat on them.
Mm-hmm.
Sulis is also crying internally, but because she is faithful, and this is quite a desecration to everything she holds dear.
Kalsteki has approached one of the more tactile carvings and has just placed a hand upon it, and again, crying inside. This represents as you'd mentioned, represents so much more than just a physical object. There is so much significance here that's just been lost, has just been destroyed and disrespected, and it's a case of just they need to feel close to it in this moment, so they're letting their hand linger.
Yeah. There's a strange sort of sadness, I guess, that might settle between you for various reasons. Haldia, as somebody who I would imagine that you know a lot of these heroic stories. Is there somebody that you looked up to that might have been represented in these tapestries, do you think?
Let me make up a name real quick of someone who...
I could give you one if you like. I've got a list somewhere.
If you could give me a name, that would be great.
Let's go with Cressida.
Cressida, yes, I noticed, and I'm saddened to see the memory desecrated.
It could be you.
Cressida. What a shame.
Yeah. For all of your hopes to be a local hero, to be represented on these tapestries, it just goes to show how easily it can be defiled and torn down, smeared with everything that is antithetical of a hero. There are a number of objects scattered along the floor in the vestibule space. You kind of look around after taking the tapestries in for a moment, and in the darkness, standing out just ever so slightly against those tones, there are streaks of blood running in all different directions, as though bodies have been pulled, dragged, some willing, it looks like, and some not. Numerous invitations are littering the floor, just like yours. You're not the first to come here. You could be the last. What would you like to do?
How fresh are the streaks of blood from the corpses being pulled?
You kneel down. There's different levels here. Some are so dry that they've sort of caked and dried and flaked away, and then some look alarmingly fresh. They're still red.
These ones are fresh. Fairly. We should go check them out. Maybe they're still alive. Doubt it, but maybe.
There's only blood. There's no bodies left.
Well, no intact bodies anyway. There are pieces of flesh that once were attached to bodies, nothing recognizable.
Even to
I'd say for someone like you, the soft parts, right? The stuff that comes away easily.
Great.
But no limbs. No
Not
bones.
great autopsy materials then.
No. Like mashed, right? Torn away and mashed. And you know your way around bodies. Frenzied, I think, is the description really for what's happened here.
Can we assume
Doors
that
slam behind you, I should point out.
There we go, yes.
Yeah.
Assumption correct.
Take note.
We are in danger. I think we may need to vacate this room in particular, as it seems that people have been grabbed here. So if we would like to take a detour, it might extend our lifespans.
As Scylla said that, my eyes dart around the corners of the room to see if there's anything at the ceiling that would descend upon us or in the corners lurking.
you kind of look around. Have you ever stared into the darkness and thought you saw something kind of move, and it's a little alarming, and you kind of flick a light on, and no, it's just your dressing gown, or you get something like that, just hanging on the lip of the glass dome, almost like a very, very elongated arm that had been reaching, and as soon as you take notice, it kind of dissipates again into the darkness. Unnaturally long, stretched, even the fingers, clawing very slowly down, and then just dissipating the moment that you've caught it.
That was unsettling.
Shall we?
We were soulish.
Yeah, can we go in the opposite direction of whatever that is?
So which way does the fresh tracks go?
They go off to your left, down the long corridor.
I suggest we follow the fresh tracks. Someone might be alive, though. I doubt it.
Can I get an order of who's moving around, like who's going first and who's hanging at the back?
I guess I would be in the front with the light.
I'll go to the back. Mechanically, I have high cunning, and I'm not bothered by gore, so I don't mind. Okay. And also, I'm more of a long ranger.
Okay. Just ignore that. Keep going. Okay.
Nothing to worry about. As we are passing into the next hallway, I actually have chalk, so I'm going to mark just the door jamb, or the whatever is there, an arch or whatever, so that even if we do get disorientated, we hopefully will be able to understand that we've been here before.
Yes. Okay. Do you want to just make me an agility save, please?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, great.
So you need to roll, remind myself under the number. So saving throws made against traps and natural hazards use the same procedure as attribute checks, rolling under the most appropriate attribute on the D20.
D20.
Yes.
Great.
Am I right in thinking you can't exert yourself on saving throws?
Yes, correct. You cannot do that.
Okay. Oh, 18.
And what is your agility score?
14.
So you've rolled over.
Yeah. Is that bad?
You're quick. This thing is quicker. It kind of grabs at your neck just as you're leaving, and you feel these very cold talons scrape up the back of your neck. And you move out of the way, right, just in time before it can really get a grip on you. But you take a point of damage as it does so. And touching the back of your neck, your fingertips come away wet and bloody.
Okay.
And there is a frustrated hiss from somewhere above as you move down the hallway out of its reach.
I definitely turn around and shine the light closer to whatever that was.
You catch just the last motions of the swipe, right? And this long arm pulling itself back up and under the archway that you've left the room, the vestibule in.
Sulis, are you alright?
No, but I'm alive. So, yeah, just a scratch. It seems to have retreated, so we can move on.
Yeah. You can. But up ahead of you, you hear hymnal singing, an eerie chorus, somewhere deeper into this very long wing that you are moving slowly down. strange words, not anything that you recognize. It's almost like a mockery of language rather than a specific language. It's not anything that you've heard before. It does appear to be getting closer the further down that you move.
Nice.
As
Should
an
move
aside,
quietly.
as an aside, Steph, with rituals, if you have a sigil, could you have prepared that earlier and be carrying it with you, or would you prefer it to happen in the moment?
No, it's with sigils. I think that's okay. So yeah, they take a minute to draw, can be triggered when you say. So yeah, it's fine.
Well, thank you.
So the effects last for 10 minutes per adventurer level, which is for you 1. Okay.
This is for
that something you
later.
want to do?
Not right now.
Not right now.
This is information. This is information I might need.
Yes. Okay. So just to give you a bit of a view of where you are, this very long corridor, it has one kind of large open archway into, if you just kind of move past what looks like a weaving gallery. Further down there's a couple of different rooms, and then a double door at the end. And there is a strange, weirdly salivating smell coming out of that room. It's enough to make your stomach rumble a little bit.
It's making us hungry.
You've been on the road a few days. You've had some very nice fruit, but not really, a nourishing meal, I would say.
Should have kept the rations out of that adventurous pack.
Where would you like to head? Knowing that you can hear these voices growing closer.
Do we see still marks on the floor where the person was dragged?
Yeah. So they split off further down toward the big double doors at the end. And then some of the older tracks lead off to the room to your left. The weaving gallery, it looks like.
I'll follow the fresh tracks.
Fresh tracks. Okay. How are you moving?
Silently.
Silently, yes, that's fine. You can do that. You reach the end of the double doors, and this like weird choral chanting seems almost to move as you move, right? So you move closer to it, it moves sort of around behind, and you move off here and it moves over here. It directionally does not make any sense. But as you get sort of closer to these big double doors, you hear more soft chittering from somewhere behind, above you, in the darkness, clinging, those little creases and corners that you don't necessarily see. Not afraid to let you know that it is there, but definitely an unnerving noise as you kind of come up to these big double doors. They'll push open, they're not locked.
Going through?
Yes.
I'll push through. Some of you check our backs so we don't get ambushed.
Yes.
Oh, sure.
So I push the door open.
Okay, kind of. It's on very soft hinges, so that it's very easy to push. This hasn't got the weight of other doors. And a warm glow spills out to kind of illuminate the darkness that is pounding behind you. You hear whistling, cheerful whistling that's insulting to what appears to have happened in this place. And you sort of crouch in. The kitchen opens up in front of you, and you are assaulted by the smell of this very unnervingly delicious smelling food. It's open plan, obviously, to sort of accommodate the feeding of many of the acolytes who live here, as well as the adventurers that come for feasting. They've got sprawling wooden countertops, and it's normal to start with, and then you start looking a little bit closer on what's on these wooden countertops. These are people who were unfortunate enough to have been made items on the menu. Flayed remains like a butcher's shop, hands, limbs kind of very in piles, sort of awkwardly. You see an elbow kind of like hanging off the counter, all sort of stiff, fingers still clamped around something that the chef, who is around, hasn't quite managed to pull out of their fingers. And the chef, in your panic, you kind of look away from that because, oh my god, a very portly sort of half human, half spider is skittering around this kitchen all the way, sort of making every use of the availability of spaces that he can cling to. He's got knives clutched very tightly in his hands. He's going about his work, making a variety of dishes that are kind of bubbling over, pots, pans, sizzling. There's a really big, hearty fire going in the corner that is slowly spit roasting a human torso. Smells lovely. If you didn't know what it was, it would be enough really to turn the stomach of the heediest adventurer. But he hasn't noticed you yet. In all the chaos and the sound of cooking, sizzling, burning, spitting, your own senses are kind of assaulted by food that should not smell as good as it does, sights of various pieces of people that have just sort of been carelessly tossed on chopping benches. What would you like to do in this situation?
I'm going to softly place my lantern down on the floor and then take out my bow, knock an arrow.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Shall we? I'll do first instance. Try not to provoke the big spider with lots of knives. Just try and get through unnoticed, rather than fire an arrow, make it angry, it comes and kills us.
Is this like the room is just there's no other exits from this room? Is just the only exit, or
there is one small door, kind of in front. So in front of you, you've got these sort of workbenches, big fire at the end that he is currently frying something on. Off to his left and yours, at the very corner of the room, there looks to be a door. But anywhere else, no, you are completely enclosed in with him.
Well, I'm gonna hide. At least crouch down and make myself difficult to see, even if someone does have 8 eyes or not. So yeah, the holy little statue has left my hand, and now I have my sling out, but that's in my left hand, and my right hand is free. But I'm going to crouch and try to stay out of sight for now.
Okay.
I hate everything about this. I think Saturn is going to look at Haldir with the arrow and just roll her eyes and hide as well.
He's like flashing something, whistling, you know, the dark goddess, she sings to me. That's how it goes, right? And he kind of picks up someone's head that kind of separates from the neck. Is that how it goes? I don't remember. Chucks it backwards. Thump, thump, thump. Lands at your Calistigi.
I think at that point, that would startle Carstagger quite severely. They probably jump and make a noise. Jump backwards, maybe clatter into a countertop.
Okay. He whirls round, bottom half first, in this sort of like weird disconnect. It looks sewn on, actually, in a kind of way. And you notice as he whirs around in your own panic that he has two big scars, one around his midriff and one straight across his back. He's wearing like what I can only describe as a makeshift chef's hat, or what he thinks a chef's hat should look like. And he's, got this knife, got this pan, whirls round. Mon cher, you're early.
Yes,
Better.
we made a bit of time on the road. How perhaps we can help you make up some time. I hear you're running a bit late.
Oh no, I'm a line chef, mon cher. I'm never late, never late. You could be though. And he kind of like very gets a little bit closer. I don't much take kindly to people in my kitchen, especially when they're so fresh. How can I help you? Or perhaps you can help me.
Well, you're the chef here. You know what you're doing. Perhaps we can help you.
You could. You look like a main course, I think. Yes, I'm missing some sausages. I think kind of assesses your midriff unnervingly and steps a little bit closer.
And
It's
at
fun,
that point,
it's fun. This is a fun game. Let's play together.
I do believe we should get our prophecies read first before the.
Oh, mon cher. Your prophecy is pretty much written. Gestures around. It is that you will die and you will feed her.
Oh, shame.
Beautiful. Okay, so we shall move into combat. So you have made an attack. You know the rules about scars. So
Could you remind me?
yes. So your scars are a physical reminder of your previous experience of violence. Once per day, you can modify a single roll you make in combat, where X is the number of scars you possess, so plus or minus. This modification can be applied to attacks, damage rolls, saving throws, etc. If you're fighting and you're rolling dice, you can utilize your scars. When you choose to use scars to modify a roll, you will always use the full value and not a portion of it. If you have 3 scars, you can't modify a roll by 1 or 2. It has to be 3. So
modifying a roll, I mean like +1 to the roll, essentially.
Yeah, if you've got a scar, yes. So
you can use it once a day.
Yes, once a day.
Yeah.
Let us roll order. So I will roll for Le Chef. Oh dear, that's bad. Okay. Right. Saturn.
What do we roll?
Just a d20, please.
15.
And Haldia.
15. Just that was the pure roll.
Beautiful. Who's got the higher agility, please? Just off the top of my head.
I have 10.
Okay.
9.
And Calistigi.
14.
And Sulis.
13.
Oh wow, look at us.
Wow. Okay, so Haldia, you're up first.
Okay.
What would you like to do?
Shoot.
Shoot? Yes, okay.
Yes.
So, ranged attack.
How does the action economy work here again?
You get one action. God, all the rules have gone out of my head. So, ranged attack. Characters who fire ranged weapons into melee combat risk striking combatants other than their intended target. When you miss an attack with a ranged weapon against an enemy engaged in melee with someone else, you can make an agility saving throw. If you fail, you strike the other. So, to make an attack, roll 1d20. If your result is less than or equal to your attribute and above your armor class, you hit them. Roll your weapon's damage.
Wait,
If your result is higher...
If it's less than or equal to the attribute, but more than the, but it's a ranged weapon, so it's agility, no?
Yes.
But what was that thing about armor class?
And above their armor class.
Oh, their armor class. Okay, sorry.
Yes. So I've got his.
So it's a 50-50 shot.
Mm-hmm.
That's 18. So I have a 10, so no.
What did you roll?
I rolled an 18, and my agility is 10.
Okay, yeah. So if your result is higher than your attribute or equal to or lower, then you miss. So you fire off this arrow in a very heroic rush, and it whips past him. And he kind of like looks down and goes, "That is not very kind and polite of you. But we'll sort that," and kind of lunges forward. Saturn, you're up.
Okay. I took my time in my hiding spot to like gently set up my crossbow because it takes two hands. So yes, I'm going to. I was trying to pull up the rules for myself as well. Okay. All right.
Is there also a move thing that you can do in combat, or how does that work?
Yeah, you can move. Yeah.
Okay. I'm definitely going to move further back then. Sorry.
That's okay. We're all kind of learning it as we go. So don't worry.
That's a nat 20, which is not good here. my dice are a key to another game.
No, so there are critical hits in this game, but it is when you roll the enemy's AC exactly, which you've not done. So yeah. Oh no, sorry. Do you want to explain like what happens as he's moving toward Haldir?
Because it's a ranged weapon, I have a chance to hit someone else.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
But am I in melee range with it because I moved further away from it?
No, you're not in melee range.
So I'm good.
Mm-hmm. But backshot though. There's a lot of hands hanging around here. Let's make a roll for fun. I think it would be interesting to see what happens. So you need to make an agility saving throw, please.
Okay. So agility is 9. Jesus Christ. This would be good in a different game. 18.
Okay. So there is no one currently engaged in melee with the chef, but your arrow kind of pings ding, 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 across these pans, and then thunk into a piece of wood on the counter, and you're like, "Ooh." I think possibly quite close to Suli. But yeah, no one is currently in melee, so you're okay.
That's fine. I'll use my move action to reload.
Okay. Calistigi, it's you.
It's going to move forwards towards this chef and attempt to pierce through the scar tissue, one of the big, I think the front scar, with the wee hoofing knife.
Okay. Yes, you can do that. Do you want to roll for an attack?
I will do that. Let's see, that is a 7 with a brawn of 12.
Nice, so you hit. Fantastic. Okay.
And it's a
1d6.
small weapon. So it's with disadvantage for 1d6 on the damage.
Yeah, I would say ordinarily yes, but because you've hit him in a tender spot, just roll it straight.
Ah, okay, thank you. That's a 1 anyway.
Okay. He rears back onto his back 4 spider legs with this like sort of enraged scream, how dare you, as you attack him, and he kind of brings them down heavy, turns with like this vile look, this like bubbly, funny, weird little chef persona has fallen off now. He is pissed. That's you. What would you like? Are you moving?
I moved to get up to him in the first place.
Okay. So he is currently about to bear down on you.
Okay.
Sulis, you're up.
I'm going to attempt to fire my slingshot into his eyes.
Ooh, okay.
So that is D20 against 14. 12.
Lovely. Okay. That's under, yeah?
Yep.
Fabulous. Okay. So roll your damage.
That's the D20 again?
No,
Or-
it's a small weapon, so it's a
Pardon me.
D6. Yeah.
D6, okay. Pardon me. 2.
2. Okay. Describe what happens if you kind of fling this up into his eyes, if you would.
Yeah, so I get my sling all momentumed up, and I know how to use slings, obviously. And the small sort of iron ball that I use gets him in. Does he have a cluster of eyes, or is he normal in the face?
Human. So he's got like a human top half,
Okay,
and then
cool.
a spiderish bottom half. So human.
Okay,
eyes.
so I've hit him in one of his eyes. Yep, and hopefully that is enough to take away some sight and definitely to disorient him.
Yeah, I would say definitely. He kind of leers back, really about to bear down on Calistegia, and sort of screams like, "Oh fuck!" Drops a knife just from that shock of it, but is in mid motion down to attack. So still kind of holding, has this one knife. So where ordinarily you think perhaps he might attack you twice, he's going to just attack you once. So let me just roll this. Okay. So, Calistegia, you take 5 points of damage as he bears down on you with this knife.
Okay.
It's rusty. It's had a mixture of stuff on it. I would like you very much to make me a brawn save, if you would.
Okay, I will do that. I've
Okay.
got a value of 12, and that is a 19, so that's a failure.
Okay. So you take 2 points of further damage as you feel an unnatural stinging pain, sort of like anesthesia, kind of spread across where he stabbed you. The skin, just where it's torn in, starts to blacken. That is a problem you were going to have to deal with later.
Yes, I think that there's a cry of pain, and then looking down at this wound, it's there is a mixture of interest and horror of this.
Yeah. And it takes you out of the moment for a minute, you know, this sort of like blood pumping in your ears, the shock of it. I don't think you've had an injury like this before.
No.
You might have had a couple horses kick you in the stables as an ostler, but this is your blood coming out of you. And he's screaming, and you can, like underwater, you can kind of hear it like, "Get the fuck out of my kitchen! You're meat! That's all you are!" And you can't, your ears are throbbing in the panic. There's not a lot you can do in the moment except absorb that shock. And I think that might possibly have given you a level of trauma, of minor trauma.
I think so.
So I will just very quickly, these are rules that I've added into the system. So you get minor trauma and major trauma. Each adventurer has 3 minor trauma thresholds, 1 for each attribute. So for you in this case, this is a minor trauma in brawn. You also have 1 major trauma threshold, which is triggered by the progression of a minor trauma. So let's say you develop a minor trauma in paranoia that would affect your cunning. It could escalate into a major trauma, which you don't want, such as delusions, if they accumulate another minor trauma of the same type. So you can suffer only 1 major trauma at a time. If you acquire another major trauma, you will then suffer a complete breakdown, and you will not be able to act until that major trauma is resolved. Minor traumas are focused more on the narrative for your character, so that is in your hands to play with as you will. Major traumas come with a penalty of some kind. So if you don't feel comfortable role-playing, or you've not had a personal experience in a particular kind of trauma, you don't feel like you have to act it out. You can simply say, like, he's feeling jittery, or they're feeling jittery, and they struggle to speak, or they begin to have a panic attack. That's fine. Just as we're respectful at the table, but the first point, the minor trauma, is for your narrative play. Major trauma will then come stat penalty. So I think that is a minor trauma in brawn, if you just want to mark that somewhere, and you and I will keep track of that for Calistigi as your adventure continues.
Okay. Thank you.
No worries. So Saturn, actually, sorry, it's Haldia who is up, and then Saturn. You have just witnessed this monstrous shaft bear down and kind of cut very deeply into Calistigi. Calistigi, who is frozen in the moment. What would you like to do?
You're muted.
Yeah.
I load my weapon with my move action, and I aim for his eyes. Go for another shot.
Okay. Let's go.
I'll use my trauma here. Or scars, sorry. Scars,
yes.
rather. Because then I will get to exactly 10 if I bring it down 1, which means its armor class drops by 1.
Beautiful. Okay.
So...
Thank you.
Fire off. Now it has 1 less armor class.
Could be very helpful. Okay. Are you moving at all?
No, I used my move to reload. So
yes,
that was that.
That's fine. Brilliant. Okay, Saturn. You were also muted.
I know, I was tapping it and it wasn't going away. I was like, oh no, I'm trapped. I will attempt to fire again because I reloaded last turn. Okay. 5, so that's under my agility.
Nice.
No,
okay, do you roll your damage?
Roll numbers. Yes, it's a D6. 2.
Okay. What does this look like? Where are you firing?
So seeing that arrow ping off into the distance, Saturn takes a steadying breath. It's like, okay, let's try that one again, and is going to aim for like the thicker part where the torso meets into this like widening abdomen bit, where it has that little twist that is not quite connected. It's like, let's see if I can just disconnect this. So that's what she's aiming for, and it just, I think it sinks into that like kind of stretchy bit of fleshy meat.
Yeah, it sinks in, sorry, way further than you think it should. And it kind of whips past Calistige's ear. It's a beautiful shot. And it sinks in, and he flick it. And you kind of watch as his body sort of starts to slide away, the top part from the bottom part. And he looks kind of confused for a moment, like, no. And you hear this kind of ripping sound of monstrous fiber as whatever stitched him loosely together falls apart, and the spider legs collapse from under him and then curl up like a dead spider. And he is sort of bleeding out on the floor, dragging himself in a confused puzzle. This is my kitchen. How dare you come in here and do this to me? Getting weaker, but he is incapacitated. It is up to you to decide what you want to do with him.
Unexpected turn of events. I don't want to kill him just yet, though. So I think seeing him incapacitated, Saturn will take a few hesitant steps towards him, get down. Where is she?
Okay. He's on his front, sort of clawing. You step in front of him, and he can't like extend his neck fully upwards, but he's glaring at you with this very deep hatred. Rapidly, this river of blood pooling out behind him. And he goes, "It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter anymore. All of you will know what it's like. Your food. Don't disrespect me. Don't." And this blood sort of starts to trickle. He's rapidly losing his strength. But there's also this deranged giggling, like what you've asked of him is so childish and so stupid in his eyes. And then you watch as the sort of light, it begins to flicker. And he's like trying to claw at you, reach for your ankle.
Okay, kick him off.
Yeah, kind of. The knife clatters out of his hand. And his own pupils grow grey and dark. The life has left his body.
Lovely.
And behind, a kettle starts to scream. The water's boiled for the soup.
Sulis leans down and shuts his eyes.
Okay.
Oh, this is the best idea I've had in ages. Good job, Saturn, coming to this place. As she walks over to turn the kettle off.
Yeah, you take it off the heat. Such a weird, quick encounter, and the only person I think who hasn't really moved yet is Calistige.
That's correct. I think that they're still frozen in place at this moment.
I rush over. Calistiga, you're right.
Yes, I think they'll reach out a hand just as a similar to what they did with the statue earlier, just to ground themselves against you, and they just thank you.
Is this the type of? Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, you can say, could you go and get my knife back, please? It's still, I didn't take it out.
Of course, I'll go get it. And I go search for the knife.
Is this the type of wound that I may have seen in my clientele? The dead ones?
Yes. You are faithful yourself to the Silver Lady. This is what you would know to be a corruption. So people who follow the Dark Moon, the antithesis to your faith, to your lady, they are able to spread darkness in a way that is not really affecting the flesh so much as it is the soul. You have seen people wither away from this sort of thing. Do you think Sulis would know how to heal this as someone who is faithful? And if so, what would she do?
I think because of her profession as an undertaker, it's not really down her alley to heal. And she's quite focused on that aspect of her job, but her sisters aren't as much. So she may have picked up a few things from them.
Yeah.
I am going to let the party know about what I see, what kind of wound this is, what you just told me. And yes, so how would we heal this? This type of dark corruption could only really be healed by light, or maybe we could cauterize it with flame, if that's okay.
Yes, I'd rather not succumb.
Yes. So, I assume the candle or the lantern is still lit, and we have a blade. Do we have any blade that hasn't been in something yet? Anyone?
You have the one from her shoe. From Saturn's shoe.
Fantastic. Thank you. Now, we are going to, Calistiga, I want you to stay nice and calm. Don't move. You're doing great at that so far. And we are going to cauterize your wound. I am going to have to heat up this dagger. Very, very, very hot from this lamp. And she looks over at the flame inside the lamp. And this is not really something that she wants to do. Because fire isn't really her friend.
No, it's not.
Haldir, would you be so kind as to heat the blade for me?
Of course. And he takes out the... yes, just a second. Wiping off the blade. Quite nasty. And then I take the blade back to Calistiga. Your blade is back. Yes, let me come over there and take care of it. And heats the blade in the flame and hands it over.
Thank you. Calistiga, this is going to hurt quite a bit. So if you wouldn't mind being as quiet as possible, because this is a dungeon that we may die in, and I don't really... Anyway, and not really used to speaking to people that can speak back in her line of work. And presses the heated dagger against the wound.
You might want to bite your belt.
They've got their emblem in the mouth.
Very brave, very brave. Do I need to roll anything for this to work, or are we gonna? Okay.
You can just do it.
Alrighty then. So that there's a sizzling and a bit of a familiar smell because of where we are. But don't worry, my dear. This is but a passing pain, and yes, hopefully the heat from the light will drive out this corrupting darkness from your wound.
Hey, Cindy, you're terrified of being burned alive,
Yes,
aren't you?
yes, I am.
That smell coming off of the cauterized wound.
Bit of trauma, I think.
I wouldn't say just yet, but
Yeah, not fun though.
not fun. And it kind of makes your stomach flip for a moment. Bead of sweat rolls down your face. That is an unpleasant smell, and your pulse kind of quickens a little bit. Calpini, I would like you, please, to shake off this corruption. So if you can roll me a saving throw in Brawn, please.
Brawn, okay. That's a 10 with a 12 for the aim.
Hooray! Okay. You managed to shake this off with the combined effort of cauterizing the wound for all your pain. You will take a point of damage just as that kind of sears your skin.
Yeah, so that puts me down to 0.
Okay. So you've died, maybe. Death is interesting in this world and in this game. But I think we will leave that for the next session.
Okay.
Come on.
Good cliffhanger.
Perfect cliffhanger.
Thank you.
The light flickers out of Calpini's eyes as he flops backwards into the pool of blood. Your victory so quickly and very cruelly snatched away as he succumbs to his injuries. Now, death in this game is very interesting, and we will explain how that works next session. But thank you for playing the first half. I hope you had an interesting time. So just to remind everybody, this has been Calpini, which is written by Fistful of Crits, designed on a system run by Loot the Room, Chris Bissett. This is my wonderful cast. We are with Euphoria, which we love a lot. Please join them and support them on their journey. They have a massive plethora of loads of different games. They're doing a great thing in the scene. So the social links will be in the chat. Euphoria pretty much everywhere. And my cast, my lovely cast. So we will go to Aoife for socials. Where can people find you? What are you sort of working on?
So, yes, this has been Aoife. I can be found on most socials under either just my first name, Aoife, or my full name, Aoife McLean Fay, no hyphens. I will be somewhat visible around the TTRPG scene, so keep an eye out for me here and elsewhere. Mwah.
And Kieran?
Hello, yes, I am Kieran. I use they, them pronouns. I am a member of the Rose Court Project, which is a big Thirsty Sword Lesbians mega game all about a magical fencing tournament where the big decider on what your power is how close you are to your partner, which is very fun. Also, there's time traveling vampires. You can find me on Blue Sky, Kieran-Hingston. You can find links to anything I'll be doing, including Rose Court, in the link tree, which should be in the chat just now.
And Fondue.
Hello, everyone. My name is Fondue. I run a YouTube channel called Dice and Easy. If you're looking for Foundry VTT tutorials, tips, and tricks, check out my channel. I will show you all things Foundry VTT related. You can find me, Dice and Easy, on all the other platforms as well, except on Twitter. It's Dice and Easy RPG. Thank you.
Okay, and Ren.
Hi, I'm Ren. You can find me at Mask Ren or at Allegory of Death on some of the social media platforms. I am gently floating around the TTRPG space.
Fabulous. Okay, thank you. I've really enjoyed running the first bit of Calpini, and I can't wait to see you back next week. I'm Steph. I am one half of Fistful of Crits. You can find me Fistful of Crits on most platforms, not TikTok, we've established, because I am a millennial and it scares me. We do actually have a TikTok account. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and will join us again for part 2. Bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.